What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update. And as you can see, my voice is pretty much completely gone after last night. What a night it was. We were at Box Park. I don't know if you've seen any of the content that's come through. We were live on TikTok last night, YouTube for a little bit, vlogs out on YouTube, content out on Instagram and TikTok as well. But man,
I think everyone's struggling. I think the whole country is struggling.
We are definitely struggling today. I mean, the amount of booze that we had last night in our system, my God, what a night. And Harry Kane, I thought Kane actually had his best performance of the Euros yesterday, particularly in the first half. Performed really well. The likes of Foden as well. Foden in that first half, man, wow. And how did that not go in? It was just saved just on the line. But I thought it was a well-deserved victory for England yesterday. And that was probably the first time you're saying, you know, good performance by England in the tournament.
Yeah, they definitely deserve the win, and I'm very, very proud of them, and I'm proud of the team because they've taken so much flack this tournament, and especially Southgate, and I'm really happy for him that they've made the final and that he's leading it, because I think for what he's done since taking over as England manager, I know he's got a really great squad, but you got to remember, before he took over, we were just perennial underachievers, never ever making it past the quarterfinal for many, many years. And to get us back-to-back Euro finals is an incredible achievement. So fair play to Southgate. And I think Kane yesterday, obviously he got his goal. And I think that makes him now the highest ever goal scorer in for
Tournament
knockout
football. Yeah.
Is it tournaments or knockouts?
I thought it's tournaments, but it could be knockouts.
Because it said 9 goals, but he's got more than 9 goals in tournaments.
Maybe it is knockouts.
Actually, no, you're probably right. That does probably make sense. Actually, 9 tournament goals. I have to look at, but I think knockouts though. I think he's got one of the most knockouts as well. And you think of people like Klose, you know, who was like known for his goals in tournaments, and Kane has more than him now.
Yeah, unreal, mad. Absolutely unreal. And look, big task against Spain though in the final. They've looked the best team by far, I think, in the tournament so far, from the group stages all the way to the final. So it's going to be a big game. But I don't think that we should go into it fearing it. We should, back ourselves. We've got the players to do it and get over the line. I think it's time for England to finally get over the line, and I think we can do it. I really think we can do it. Yeah,
look, let's be honest, it's definitely going to be the toughest team we've faced the whole tournament. That's without a shadow of doubt. And Spain have been brilliant. And whether we win or lose, we've done really well to get to the final, but we seem to find a way this tournament. How many last-minute goals have we been scoring?
Forget last-minute goals. In the knockouts, we've gone behind in every game.
Yeah.
Every single one.
We found a way. We have found a way. So we keep believing. We've got the talent to do it. So it's time for England to do it.
After the Slovakia game, I was sitting on here saying Southgate should be sacked mid-tournament. But look, I'm going to eat my words because he's done an incredible job to get us here. He's progressed us through the tournament. We're in the final, back-to-back finals now. It's not just back-to-back finals as well. The 2 last World Cups, semi-final and quarter-final, where in the quarter-final against France, you know, if Harry Kane puts away that penalty, you never know what could have been in that game. So in tournament football, he's done better than anyone else has done since Alf Ramsey, and that's a fact. So big up to England. We hopefully will be back at Box Park for the final, but we'll see what happens in the other semi-final. Obviously, Argentina went through 2 days ago. Cuti Romero in another international final for Argentina, beating Canada.
Final record for
unreal. And apparently he was unbelievable on the day as well, and he's been unbelievable throughout the whole tournament. So Argentina beat Canada by 2-0, much to the dismay of Mr. Brian Daigle. But what really hit the headlines yesterday was the Uruguay game. Crazy scenes. I think it was at the end of the game. I think it was.
At the end of the game.
I don't know what happened. There was no policing in the stands. The Colombia fans were... I don't know what was going on. And the Uruguay players felt the need to go into the stands and protect their family and friends, I think it was. You saw Darwin Núñez in crazy altercations with fans in the stands. You saw there was
a box at one point.
Literally.
Literally see him like that.
It's mad. I've never seen anything like it, and there was no police presence or any security presence whatsoever, which is mad to me. Yeah, absolutely mad.
I think maybe because in the US, I don't know how it is. Like, I think the sport culture potentially is not as a kind of tribal. I think like when you go to look, maybe I'm wrong here, but when you go to like, I think,
well, you've never seen the video Fight and Win.
When you go to like football games in the US, I'm pretty sure like the fans are mixed. I don't know if they separate them or not, and maybe they underestimated, when they bring these South American fans over, how intense it can get, and maybe I don't know. Look, clearly they weren't ready for it. And it's ridiculous that they put the Uruguay friends and family amongst Colombia fans, or even near them. And it's a ridiculous state of affairs. And obviously, the Colombia fans have been accused of being too drunk and just being boisterous, and for some reason feeling. It reminds me of also what happened with West Ham. When was it? A couple of years ago. In the Conference League semi-final, and they're very similar situation. So that's something that the big bodies have to kind of grab a hold of, because that's completely unacceptable. Yeah,
absolutely, and especially with the World Cup happening there in 2 years' time, they need to really have a long look at that situation, how that happened, and how to avoid that happening in the future. There was also a video of Rodrigo Bentancur at the end of the game lumping a bottle into that section to trying to help his family and friends or whatever that was happening in that situation. But also, Bentancur did go off injured in the first half. I think 35 minutes in, he looked really distressed. Looked like he was crying at one point as well. So I really hope it's not as bad as maybe he first feared.
Yeah, we'll see. He seemed to be mobile after the game.
It's true.
He was one of the players, going into the stands. He threw a water bottle at someone. He was getting involved in it. It wasn't the greatest night for Bentancur, especially Uruguay losing. He went off injured. It didn't look like a great challenge on him, to be fair. He's sliding in. It looked a bit innocuous. So hopefully he's okay. But he's not been going for a great time of it, has he, Bentancur, in recent times?
He's not got a lot of luck. Let's say that.
So let's hope he can start turning it around soon. But let's hope this injury isn't too bad. But in terms of the Copa, Argentina will probably rather face Colombia than Uruguay in the final.
Yeah.
And what an opportunity now to make it 3 on the trot for Argentina.
Absolutely. Really big opportunity. If it was Uruguay in the final, I think that could have been anyone's. The way Uruguay have been playing this tournament under Bielsa, they've got a bit of aura about them, this Uruguay team under Bielsa as well. So it's a shame that Uruguay didn't go through, especially as Colombia were down to 10 men for the whole of the second half. You would have thought Uruguay would have done better in that second half, but you've got to give credit to the Colombians sticking together, getting the job done. And Davinson Sanchez is in a final.
He is. Sanchez versus Romero. Unbelievable.
And if you looked at the second week of the group phases, both Sanchez and Romero are both in team of that phase, which was incredible. So big up to Davinson Sanchez, big up to Cuti Romero. We'll be watching that final. And then obviously big up to England and Spain as well, going to the final of Euro 2024. But let's get into some potential Spurs transfer news. Let's start off with Emerson Royal. Once again, Matti Moretto says the gap in valuation between Milan and Tottenham for Emerson after the latest round of contact is €5 million. Negotiations will continue in the coming days. Fabrizio Romano says that AC Milan are expected to increase their initial €15 million offer for Emerson Royal and get closer to the €20 million plus, which Spurs expect. The Italian club are working in confidence. And then Emerson, there was a few quotes from him. We'll get into the second quote after this, but in the first one he says, I want to play on a regular basis. I don't want to sit on the bench. I've always been professional, but I also told the coach at Spurs that I want to play. Otherwise, I have to look at other options. And no surprises there, really. Yeah, and it's not a secret that I think, I know Emerson is happy with like his positioning within the squad in terms of he's got a lot of friends here and he's obviously made himself a home here. But I think at his stage of his career, he's been here now 3 years. It's probably time he goes somewhere where he's going to be more valued. He fits in the system better, and I think we've seen that Ange he's not a real Ange Postecoglou player, and I think from his point of view, it makes sense when a big club like Milan come in for him, he wants to move, and I think for Tottenham it makes sense as well. So, I think it's a move that suits everyone. As part of the interview, he was talking about Richarlison as well. I thought some interesting quotes, which I thought I should bring up. And he says, the pigeon is very special. He's a very good kid with a huge heart. In the last year, we got very close. He had problems. He isolated himself from everyone. He didn't want to talk to anyone. I was one of the people who managed to help him. I did psychological follow-up, and I helped, and it helped me a lot. I've improved as a person. I told him about the experience and told him to try the same. We had lunch and dinner together. I took him out of the house. Being alone in this situation is very bad. It's clear that he's someone else now. It's a huge happiness to see the pigeon like this today.
Yeah.
So we knew about Richarlison's issues that he was going through, and it is great to see him come through the other end now.
Yeah, and it's been well documented, his struggles, and it's great to see a Richarlison high energy and definitely a lot happier than he was, for a while at Tottenham. And I think Richarlison's one of those players as well who needs to be like he thrives off those things, of being in a good place. So look, I'm delighted that Emerson really helped him. That's really great. It's part of his great character, which is why he was so valued within the squad. But I'm delighted he's helped Richarlison in that way.
Next up, let's talk about Jed Spence. Nazar Kinsella saying a deal between Genoa and Tottenham for Jed Spence is now very unlikely. The £8.5 million option was deemed too high for the Italian club, and it looks as though Spurs are not willing to budge from that.
What fee? 12.5 million?
8.5.
8.5 million. So what? I mean, I'll be shocked if Spurs don't budge on that eventually. I know it's still early on in the window, but I reckon there should be some movement there. I'll be shocked.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a case of Spurs are waiting until later in the window to see if anyone else comes in. But then if they do that, they are running the risk of Genoa going and finding other targets.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
So, I don't know. I feel like Spurs should just go and get the deal done now, even if it's just like 4 or 5 million.
Or maybe they feel like, there was a player once who was well sought after and he had a good spell at Genoa, and maybe he's still a young fullback and maybe they feel like there could be some more interest. But I think if he wants to go Genoa, that would be the best move for him. But I don't know. Look, to be fair, 8.5 million isn't a lot of money. It's really not. Like, surely someone will stump that up.
Yeah. Think about what we signed for, 22 million or something. Was it that much?
I think it was like 15.
15. Okay. I mean, when you look at what he's done so far since joining Tottenham, I think it's only right to take probably a significant loss on him. He's shown nothing apart from this short stint at Genoa for a few games at the end of the season. He's pretty much shown nothing, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm. And 8.5 million that's euros, is a significant loss.
Yeah, true. Let's talk about Pedro Neto once again. HITC understands that the representative of Pedro Neto are in talks with multiple clubs about a move this summer. Tottenham and Newcastle are keen, but Arsenal, Liverpool and Chelsea retain a long interest in the Portuguese international. Do you feel like they are actually in talks with all these clubs, or particularly Newcastle, or is this just maybe trying to get Spurs to stump up that 60 million that they've been quoted?
Was it HITC?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how reliable they are, so I don't know who's been reporting that, but it's not the most reliable news sources. I have to say that, but I think there will be a lot of interest in Neto. He's a great player. I know he's got injuries, but I think I'm not surprised at all a club like Newcastle are interested, because you see someone like Jacob Murphy, who gets a lot of minutes at Newcastle as a winger option for them. You've got to put someone like Almiron, who's still an option for them. So it's not a surprise to me that they're looking at upgrading that position. So Neto would definitely represent that.
All right, well, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. But it is awfully quiet on the transfer front at the moment, isn't it? I feel like it's just going to be really quiet, and then suddenly there's just going to be a massive boom, and there's just going to be transfers left, right, and centre. There's got to be. It's just been so quiet for too long.
It's always quiet as before the storm.
Exactly. Let's talk about this kid called Boris Lum. Builder reporting that Hertha Berlin's Boris Lum is on Tottenham's radar. Lum has visited Hotspur Way and watched Spurs at the club's stadium last season. Lum has a €5 million release clause in his current contract expiring in 2026. He's a 16-year-old. He's a defensive midfielder and central midfielder. He currently is representing Germany at under 17s level. Can't say I know too much about him. But that's all we can go. That's all we got to go on.
I mean, I don't watch Berlin under 17s or whatever. Has he made any senior appearances?
The highest level he's got to is under 19s. Berlin under 19s.
Sure, let's do it. Why not?
5 million though for a 16-year-old.
It's very expensive. He must have some serious ability. But we've got some good options in that position, in that age. Tyrese Hall coming through. I mean, I can't
potentially
really
Archie Gray as well.
I can't comment on a 16-year-old from Berlin, to be honest.
Yeah, neither can I. But those are the latest links. That's how dry the Spurs transfer links are at the moment. And last but not least, that's it. That's all I got for you, unfortunately. Transfer news is very, very quiet, but as Sim said, this is the calm before the storm. Let's hope it all kicks into gear very soon. But thank you, everyone, for watching us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.